Greetings everyone, welcome to Advance. This game was played in Candidates 2024 and we are covering all of the games of Gukesh and rest of the games which are amazing as well. And here in this position, Gukesh is with the white pieces and with the black pieces he's facing in Candidates 2024 in round 5th. In round 4th he was able to get a draw against FIDE and he is on 2.5 out of 4 and now he's facing Abasov Nijat with the black pieces. Let's see how that goes hand here with the white pieces. Gukesh goes for e4. We have e5 by Abasov, knight to f3, knight to f6 and we go for d4. This is the standard stack of Petrov and here knight caps on e4, bishop to d3. You could also go for this knight caps on e5 which is the main line after d5. Now you play bishop to d3, knight to d7, castle, knight captures, d captures, knight to c5, attacking the bishop. Bishop needs to move and whenever the bishop moves here in this position, your position would be absolutely fine. Both players have equal chances. It could go anyone's way. But here after knight caps on e4 we have bishop to d3 attacking the knight, d5 now, and here just d captures, knight to c5, bishop to e2, just going as planned. And now in this position, just bishop to e7, we have castles, rook to e1, and just c6. And now we have knight bd2, knight bd7, and here just s3, not allowing any bishop or knight jumps in the future, e5, knight to b3, and just f6, just challenging that central pawn. And here ef, knight of spade, bishop to e3, and now in this position you have to move the knight. I mean, it is attacked twice, so you have to be careful. Knight c to e4, and for this knight bd2, challenging the central knight. e4 was spade. If you go for trades in this position, then you just give easy development to white. Queen captures, knight to e4, attacking the queen. Queen moves, queen to d6, and here just bishop to d3. And now after queen to g6 seems weird because you're coming under the shadow of the bishop, and after knight to e5, attacking the queen. Queen moves, you go back with the knight. Most likely, I mean, still both players have equal chances. Black is a little bit better, but still. After knight b2, here a4 was played, but now just comes knight captures, and now just going for a3, not allowing further pushes towards the queen side, because then you just make your opponent's life a little bit easy. You never want to do that. Here bishop to c5, challenging the bishop but not trading, just going for bishop to d3. Now saying if you want to trade, you just trade on my terms, get my rook some activity. Here bishop captures, rook captures was played, queen to f6 now, and now just comes c3. And it looks like with the white pieces you have not accomplished the things that you want to do, because even if you can get the rooks connected, you can play queen to c2 in this position. Your position seems fine, but this knight is a very strong piece and you cannot even go back and challenge this knight because this would be hanging, so you have to be a little bit careful in this position. And here after bishop to f5, just protecting that, and if you trade here then just bishop captures and that bishop would be very strong. Here queen to e2 was played, knight to d6, and just bishop captures, knight captures, and finally now jumping in with the rook to e6, and here queen to f7 was played, rook to e1. Now you have extreme control over the e file, and if you see the position just a few more moves ago, and now if you see the position just before this, and now after this playing this queen to f7 and rook to e1, you can understand that this position is now changed in white's favor, and Gukesh is definitely going to enjoy this. Here just h6 was played, but now just comes queen to c2, queen to d7, and just c4, challenging those central pawns. d4 now. So Gukesh has created a pass pawn. Is it good for Abasov or is it good for Gukesh? Because that pawn will be weak once you push it forward towards the very edge. Here just c5 was played, not allowing to protect the pass pawn, and queen to f7 was played, but you could go for a move like d3. It seems decent, but the thing is that after queen to c4, now there are a lot of discoveries and threatening, and you have to be a little bit careful. But you can get away with this because you can play rook a to d8. Even if I go for this with threatening a discovery, you can just block with the queen, so there is no need to worry about this. And after a move like g4, which is just extremely aggressive, here you just push d2, and after this knight captures, queen captures. If you go for, then the trouble is your queen is hanging, so you cannot capture this, because now this would just completely pick up the queen, because you don't have this queen to d5 resource that we were talking about before. Because now if you go for this rook captures, c captures, queen to b4, your position is completely winning. So after c5 we have queen to f7, not going for any of that madness. Rook c to e4 was played, queen to d5, and now just comes rook to e5, attacking the queen. Queen to f7, rook 5 to e4, and just queen to d5. So both players just waiting and seeing if the other player makes a mistake, and also gaining some time on the clock while they're at it. Rook to e5 now, attacking the queen. Queen to f7, and just rook 1 to e4. Gukesh is definitely not going to be happy with the draw in this position, because he knows that he's better, so he would want to grind it out. Even if that takes to grinding it out till 80 moves or 90 moves, he wants to be able to win this game with the white pieces, because next you'll be facing your opponent with the black pieces, and it's very difficult to try and push for something with the black pieces. So here just rook a to d8 was played, just putting a rook behind the pass pawn, and you want to be able to push now. Rook to f4 was played, but now just comes d3, and in this position Gukesh made a amazing move. Queen captures on a4, saying that you want to push, well, just go for it, because the thing is that if you push, just knight captures, and if you're thinking about just rook captures, then just rook captures, that also comes with an attack towards everything, so that would be a problem. Here just queen to e2 was played, king to h2, and just g6 in this position. Queen to b4 now, queen to f7, and just rook to e1, rook f to e8, rook f to e4, asking for a trade. Rook captures, and here just going for rook captures, and still you cannot push. If you push, then it's the same idea. Now even the queen is guarding it, so there is no need to worry about it. And if you go for a move like queen to d7, just putting extra pressure towards that pushing. The thing is that rook to e1 solves all my problems, because if d2, rook to d1, knight to d4, if you try to play, because there is triple attack on that pawn, you cannot defend it. Only move as this knight to d1, knight to d4, try and get some counterplay. But after queen captures, knight captures, rook captures, just king to g3, and I'm up so many pawns, I don't need to worry about it. Once this pawn is gone, just pushing b4 would be enough for me to get a win in this position, and that's about it. And here after rook caps on e4, we have rook to d5 in this position. So after knight to d2, just knight to g7, just getting the knight back, re-maneuvering it to a better square. But now just comes king to g1, knight to e6, and just going for this rook to e3. So that pawn is targeted here. Somewhere along the line, this is also becoming, and you're gonna have to try and defend the pawns. For now, there is a double attack towards the c5 pawn, and you have to be a little bit careful. How do you defend that? Here just knight caps on c5 was played, queen to c4, and just knight to e6. And now I'm just going to be trading that pawn for this one, and maybe to see if I have some chances. Rook caps on e3 was played, and now just b5 first, pushing the queen back, queen moves, and now just going for knight to f4. So rook is under attack. What do you play here? Rook to e3 was played by Gukesh, rook to g5, and now just going for this knight to e4. So Gukesh gives up the central pawn, because in this position he thinks he might have some chances after gaining that. So here Abasov says thank you very much. He goes for it. Rook caps on g2 with a check, king moves, and here just knight to d5, attacking the rook and the forking the rook and the queen. And what do you even do in this position here? You could go for this very nice tactic which Gukesh went for. Here he goes for knight to f6 check, and now you have to capture with the knight caps on f6, and after king caps on g2, you have this position where, honestly, if you see it from a perspective of a normal player, even this position seems like a lot more where you can press, because you're up the exchange. Here knight to d5 was played, queen caps on c6, but now just comes knight caps on e3, f captures. And thing is, you have an outside pawn, you have your upper pawn as well, so you have to be a little bit careful. I mean, technically it's a draw because your king is very weak and I can give a lot of checks, but still it's just the thing that once you get this kind of position, you're a lot more relaxed because you are the up who's the advantage. Only person who can push in this position is you. So here after queen to f5, we have this b3, h5, and just a4. We have ba, and just queen to g5 check, king to f2, and just going for queen to f5 check, king to g2, queen to g5. And you could go for a draw in this position, but the thing is that here king to e2, just here not going for it. He still wants to press in this position. He wants to win this game. Here after g5, we have e4, queen caps on h3, and just queen to g6 check was played. Now just going for king to h8, and finally queen to h6 check, and a few more checks were given before capturing the pawn. And here after this, just a5 was played. So that pass pawn is pushed. Everything is defended here. There is no checks, and if you try to go for this, then it's completely over. You have an outside pass pawn. So here h4 was tried, but now just comes queen to h6 check, king to g8, and now just queen to g6 check. And engine still gives it as a draw, but the thing is that you have to find a lot more moves and in less time, and that gets very difficult. A king to h8 was played, a6 now, queen to h2 check, king to e3, and queen to h3 check, king to e2, queen to h2, king to d3, and just queen to h3. So a lot more checks have to be given, otherwise you just lost. That pawn is pushing, it's 2 squares away from promotion. King to c4, queen to c8 check, king to d5, queen to d8 check, king to d6, queen to d6, queen to a5 check. And here lot more checks were given, but just queen to a2 check, queen to e6 blocking, queen captures, king captures, and it feels like here black is promoting first, which it is, but the thing is that you have an extra pawn. h2, a7, h1, a8, queen, king to g7, and just queen to a7 check, king moves. Now just going for queen to e3 check, king to h5. And the thing is that king to h5 is a very horrendous blunder in this position, because now the position is completely winning. So I'm going to ask you to pause the video, try and find out the only winning move in this position that crumbles black's position right on the spot. So have at it. The thing is that if you go for congratulations by the way to everyone who's able to find this move. The move is queen to c5 check, and queen to c5 check completely crumbles the game, because if you go for king to h6 in this position, the thing is that if you go up the board, there will always be ideas of where I can check you and I'm able to pick up the queen. So that's the problem here, because if you go here, then just this comes, this check. Once you go here, I mean, this checkmate is being threatened. There are no more checks in this position that you can give. Even if you're able to come up the board, king captures, and this pass pawn is pushing, there is nothing you can do. So let's say you try to go for queen to g1, so stopping the checkmate, but just queen to f6 check, king moves. Now just this check, king has to move, and now this will pick up the queen, so that would be completely bad. But after queen to c5 check, you could also go for king to h4. Going back is not a bad move in this position, but the thing is that queen to f2 check, and now your troubles are worse as well. Queen to h3 check, queen to f5 check, and after king to g2, e5, queen to h6 check could have been played, but now this and this move is the one that seals the deal, because there is no checks available. How do you wait? Where do you give any check in this position? There are no checks available, and the thing is that that will be problematic. And now once that pass pawn is being pushed, there is nothing you can do. King is out of the way, you cannot defend anything, and this position is completely crumbling. I'm getting another queen into the game, and you're just getting checkmated. So after king to h5, king to f5 was played, and king to f5 unfortunately is a move that does not work in this position. But after queen to f1 check, Now it does, because you were supposed to play for a draw in this position, which is queen to g2, but it's very difficult and very difficult to understand why queen to g2 is a draw. The thing is that after queen to g2 comes, you're going to play queen to f4, but after queen to f4 you have this check, so you have a barrage of checks afterwards and you'll be able to draw the game. But he played queen to f1 check first, which is a panic move, and after queen to f4, now the thing is that queen to b5 check was played. Queen to e5, you think you have a lot of checks in this position, but you don't, because here after king to f6, again you're suffering from the same conundrum that you don't have checks in this position. King to h4 and queen to g5 check was played, and the thing is that now you don't, and you have to go here. And once I go for here, I mean, this will be hitting this, and you have to go for a trade in this position, and unfortunately for you, that is completely winning for me. So yeah, to grind this game for 87 moves, and finally was able to get this queen ending for a victory for himself. Now he has 3.5 out of 5, which is a very decent score considering candidates and how tough that is. So let's see what he's able to conjure in the next round. So yeah, thank you all for watching. I'll be coming back with games like these, so stay tuned to the channel, stay updated, and I'll be able to see you guys very, very soon. Thank you very, very much for watching.